You haven't heard that one? Yeah? Yeah, it's here. Sorry. So, you want me to repeat that? Well, the old saying says, if a person's bald, it's because their hair's gone in and it hasn't hit anything. And if the hair's grey, it's gone in and hit grey matter, brain. I don't know what the saying is for dark hair. So we may as well start with hair. The colour of the hair, a lot has to do with genetics. My husband is white, and both his parents were white at 50. And my mother died at 51 with brown hair, and my father just passed at 92 with greying hair, but a lot of black. Now, there's my brother, then me, and 3 younger sisters, and none of us have grey hair, because from both sides of our family, there wasn't grey. Now, my father's sister, she died at 68 with brown hair, and at the funeral I saw my 3 cousins, her sons, that I haven't seen for a long time, and they're all grey. So they probably got that a little bit from the father's side. So Michael and I are interesting because we're both extremes, really. Both his parents white at 50, and my parents are not grey. But I also know that people have claimed to get the colour back in their hair by drinking a lot of green drinks. Now, what green drinks contain is a lot of minerals. And when you consider what we talked about this afternoon, that the mineral content of the soil is about 50% less what it was 50 years ago, that a lot of the foods today have less minerals in them. You see, in Australia, the soil is the plants are just put in year after year after year. What should happen is when a crop comes out of the ground, then the soil should be fed with rich compost, because every time a crop is in the ground, it's taking nutrients out. And if you don't replace the nutrients, then the next crop that's grown there is going to be nutrient deficient. So that makes sense, doesn't it? So really looking at agriculture is the only way to change the farming habits. And unfortunately, because there's big dollars made in big industry and growing lots of stuff and superphosphate, I don't know how that will ever turn around. But you can do the best you can. You can grow as much as you can, you can buy the best quality that you can, and you can have green drinks. So how do you have green drinks? Well, you can buy chlorophyll, you can buy green barley powder, you can buy wheatgrass powder, you can buy super greens. So basically taking that 3 times a day, making sure you have lots of greens in your daily salad will ensure it. You don't lose the minerals when you cook your greens. You only lose your minerals if you throw the water away that you cook them in. Now, in many shampoos today, there is a, there is a chemical, and it's called sodium lauryl sulfate. And sodium lauryl sulfate makes it foam, and it kills hair follicles. So it's important to buy shampoo that doesn't have sodium lauryl sulfate, because that certainly can contribute to hair loss. I don't know which one's my thick one.
This one, because the other one is open.
They're all mixed up.
This one. Try this one. Okay? Yeah.
So that's the foaming agent in your shampoos. A great thing that you can do with your hair that will really nourish it and help it is about once a month, just rub coconut oil into your scalp and also pull it through your hair and bind your hair up and leave it. And I do that. I try and do it once a month. That doesn't always happen once a month. And just bind it up and leave it there all day. And at the end of the day, shampoo it out. That's very nourishing for the scalp. What about dandruff? Dandruff can often happen when using shampoo with sodium lauryl sulfate. It can also happen when a person's on a high sugar diet because that basically feeds the dandruff. So getting a better shampoo and doing a coconut oil rub or soak every month ideally, and also looking at your diet, because we are what we eat. And I have a book at home called Pure, White and Deadly, and the whole book is about sugar. And Dr. Yutkin, the author, he maintains that it should be banned. It is so dangerous. And we don't need to eat sugar because we've got honey and maple syrup. And you've got a sugar here on your islands, which is an excellent sugar. It's palm sugar or coconut sugar. It's just the crystallized nectar from the palm flower. So that is hair. It is a good idea not to dye your hair because most dyes have chemicals in them. And we've had guests come to our program that have had reactions to the chemical dyes. I think there is an Indian dye called henna. You're familiar with henna? That's made out of plant, and that's probably a little bit healthier. So we'll look at eyes now. Eyes are deteriorating too soon, yeah? Now you have some short-range muscles and long-range muscles in your eyes. The short range, of course, gets you to look at short, long at long. And by the age of 11, those muscles are set. Now eye doctors are being very concerned today about children's eyesight because children are having overexposure to short range. That's in all the computers, Game Boys, television, things like that. They're having overexposure to short range and underexposure to long range. One old doctor, he made the statement, he said, we should spend more time looking at the mountains. Not many mountains in Singapore. Clouds, tops of trees. Birds flying in the air. So if your job is at a computer, ideally every hour you should go and do a bit of long-range viewing. And ideally, if your job is on a computer, no computer at night. You've had enough. Eyes need to have, if anything, over long range and under short range. And that's why children must be, their time on the computer, Game Boys, things like that, must be limited. So this is what I advise to parents. You say this to the children. Is your room clean? Is your cupboards tidy? Is your bed made? Is the dishwasher unpacked? Shoes clean? I don't know, you have your list. All right, you can have 15 minutes. Oh, what tidy rooms and houses we'd have. Every minute on technology must be earned. Of course, your love and affection is not earned. We're not even comparing that, because when children leave home, guess what? Everything has to be earned. We do not earn the favour of God, but I'm not talking about the favour of God. It's unconditional. But many children's eyes and minds and health are being damaged because of this overexposure to technology. It's a very noisy microphone. Unfortunately, aren't you glad this is the last? Oh, it must like when I'm over here. Unfortunately, eyes are deteriorating too early today. And when you start wearing glasses, your eyes get a little lazy. Some points to remember is that when you have eye strain, when your brain is tired, it weakens the eyes. So when's your brain tired, students? End of the day? So eye strain in the evening can weaken your eyes. But eye strain in the morning, when your brain is refreshed, does not weaken your eyes. It strengthens your eyes. So do the small, fine work in the morning rather than of an evening. And rebounding strengthens the eyes. The reason rebounding strengthens the eyes is when you rebound, you increase blood supply more efficiently and effectively through the whole body. But the particular exercise that strengthens the eyes is when you rebound, you focus on something. Where I'm staying at the moment, where the rebounder is, there's windows that have frames like this. So what I do is I focus on the frame and the plant outside jumps in my peripheral vision. And then after 10 seconds, I change my focus and my focus on the plant outside, and then the window frame jumps like this. So if every 10 seconds on the rebounder, you keep changing your focus. Can you see how that is strengthening the muscles in your eyes? Sunshine strengthens the eyes too. Never should we look at the sun, we know that. But just being outside, the ultraviolet rays from the sun go through neurochemical pathways and hit different parts of your brain. You see, your eyes are an extension of your brain. So your brain needs sun, and your brain gets suns through the eyes. And sun strengthens eyesight. Now, if you don't like going outside because it's so bright, and let's say we're in a room like this tomorrow, and in a break we go outside, and it's not a real bright room, the eyes can find it hard. Do you find that? So what you do is you close your eyes, put your head up, and let the sun's rays go through your eyelids. And just do that for even 10-20 seconds, then put your head down, open your eyes. Your eyes will be used to the light. That's an easy way to do it, because sunglasses are not good for eyes. And let's say you're going out into a hot summer day and you've got sunglasses on. The eyes can't give a message to the brain. Whereas if we go outside on a hot sunny day, the strength of the sun is being monitored by the eyes, and the message is sent to the brain. And when the sun is very hot and very strong, it gives a message to the skin to close up little receptor sites so you don't burn so easily. But if you go out into hot sun with sunglasses on, you can burn a lot easier because your brain didn't get the message that the sun's hot to close the little receptor sites. Now, if someone's going to be driving in the city all day, sunglasses can certainly help. And if someone's going to go skiing, white snow, blue sky, strong sun, they will need sunglasses because the glare from that snow can burn their eyes. So common sense is necessary. Now, what about glaucoma and cataracts? Do you know that they are all diseases of the Western world? And it's purely reflected on the diet that people are eating. So what should we be eating? We should be eating a diet that's high in fibre. So all plant foods have fibre. So that meal we had tonight, everything had fibre. So your plant-based diet's fibre, generous amounts of protein, because every membrane around every cell is 50% protein. And you saw in my DNA lecture, the body needs amino acids to build new cells. So we need protein. And the best protein, the cleanest burning fuel protein, is legumes and nuts and seeds. So legumes, that's lima beans, black-eyed beans, cannellini beans, chickpeas, lentils, soy. Soy is only a problem if it's been genetically modified. Nuts can be overdone, so 10 a meal. And seeds. So seeds, probably about 1/4 cup per meal. Most people don't eat that many nuts or seeds, do they? Most people don't eat nuts for a month and then buy a packet of cashews and eat the whole lot in the afternoon, is that right? They are expensive, but they're not expensive if you only have a few. So they're the 3 essential food groups. And where you get your minerals is your that's the protein. The 3 essential food groups are fibre, protein, and fats. So the best fats are your nuts, your seeds, and coconut oil and olive oil. Avocado is fine. Avocado is another great fat. But isn't coconut a saturated fat? Isn't that great? There is no proof that saturated fat causes heart disease. Did you know that? And I'll show you that when we talk about heart health. It's a myth. In fact, I've got 5 books in my health centre: The Great Cholesterol Lie, The Great Cholesterol Con, The Great Cholesterol Deception, The Great Cholesterol Myth, the dumb myth, The Great Cholesterol, hoax, con. We're running out of words. So they're your 3 essential food groups. Your fibre, there's your vegetables, or your plant, your fruits, proteins, and your healthy fats. They will give your eyes all the nutrients that they need. Because of a high acid diet that many people are living today, with a lot of sugars, a lot of caffeines, a lot of starches, cereals, breads, the body releases calcium phosphate to neutralize the acidity. And that calcium phosphate can build up as crystals in the kidneys, in the gallbladder, on the eyes, cataracts. And there is a way that you can get rid of cataracts, and that is 1 drop of castor oil wiped over the eyelid. It'll go through the lashes. The castor oil will penetrate in through the eyelid and also into the eye through the lashes. Castor oil penetrates deeper than any other oil, and wherever it penetrates, it breaks up unnatural formations, which a cataract is. I've had several people get back to me and testify that their cataracts are going by doing the castor oil. Usually you would do it twice a day. Glaucoma can also be benefited by the castor oil on the eye. One lady said that she read on the internet that it's not safe. Well, that's ridiculous. It's incredibly safe. Castor oil's very, very safe. It never harms, it never hurts. Now there is an eye wash, yeah?
What about lemon juice for cataract?
Yes, I have heard lemon may help. You can try it. Does it sting? Does it hurt? Lemon in the eye. Only a little while. It probably hurts maybe about as much as cayenne pepper. And cayenne pepper is very good for washing the eye with for glaucoma, but not many people are brave enough. Did you hear that? Brave enough. Try it if you like.
Try without the mic. Seeing them might be better. Because it's quite...
Yeah, no, I know. I can see that people are distracted.
See whether you can talk without it.
Well, I'll just use my loud voice. But I might not be able to go for an hour with my loud voice. But let's just hope by tomorrow we can remedy that situation.
Maybe you don't talk in total silence, it might help.
So there is an eye wash that is very beneficial for sore eyes, for bloodshot eyes, for dry eyes. And this can also be used for glaucoma. It's a half a teaspoon of golden seal, and a half a teaspoon of eye bright. And 1 cup of boiling water. So you cool and strain. And then you can wash your eyes with a little eye wash, you know, the little eye bath. You can wash your eyes with that a couple of times a day. I've had guests come to our program with dry eyes and some people with weepy eyes. They're always wiping their eyes, and they have found that this tea has helped them. The health food shop should sell it.
What is it?
A herb. It's a root. So eye bright are leaves, and that's a root. Usually you buy it in a powder form. Do you know, when I came into Singapore, I thought I better declare my books. So I was going into the declare station and they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I've got books." They said, "Oh, just go through." Do you know, I could have brought anything through. No one checked me for anything. Is it like that in Singapore?
They have already checked you.
No drugs. They didn't even check me for drugs. I teach the easiest airport I've ever come through. So if anyone's travelling, maybe they just bring some golden seal back with them. You can get it in America. It's a very powerful herb. It's called King of Tonics to all mucous membranes, and your eyes are a mucous membrane. Eye bright is a leaf. You buy it from a herb shop. In some health food shops, they actually have eye bright and golden seal drops. I've seen that. But eye bright herb is a specific for all eye problems. Yeah?
Do you recommend cataract surgery then?
If the person is almost blind from cataracts, yeah, have the surgery. But if it was me, I'd probably do the castor oil for a month or two and see if that helps. Remember, eye surgery has come a long way. In fact, all surgery has come a long way. I think it's the only area in medicine that has really advanced is surgery. But regarding drug medication, I think we're still in the dark ages there.
Question. How about the floaters in the eye or teaching eye? What is that?
Twitching eye or floaters in the eye. The twitching eye, magnesium can help that. You see, your eyes, nose, ears and mouth are all connected by eustachian tubes. There is some foods that cause a blockage of those tubes. And when those tubes are blocked, it can affect the eyes, it can affect the ears, it definitely can affect the sinus, and it's wheat and dairy. And refined sugar can certainly feed that along. So that brings us through to nose and sinus. Post-nasal drip has one cause, it's allergy to wheat and dairy. Now you can have a slice of wheat, it'll be out of your body in 24 hours, but the effect can remain for at least 2 months. I've seen people get off their sleep apnea machines, postnatal drip clear off because they stopped the wheat and the dairy. And I talked about it last night, how the wheat has been hybridized. It's not the wheat, the original wheat. You can get some original wheats, it's spelt, and kamut. They are from the original wheat, they have not been hybridized. If someone is celiac, that means severe gluten intolerance, they can't even have that. But most people who are gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant, they can usually handle the spelt and the kamut. Light flashes in the, it's usually, maybe it can be sometimes a pinched nerve, or sometimes people that have had head injuries can do it. It's also a matter of trying different things and seeing what has an effect. And some people that get migraines have those eye flashes before they're going to get a migraine. And migraine can be caused by injury, it can be caused by the cranial out or the spine out there. That's why you investigate and look at the history and how long these things have been happening, things like that. So with sinus, stopping wheat, dairy and refined sugar will clear up the sinus. There is another contributing factor to sinus problems, and that is breathing in mold. In 1990, a group of scientists in the Mayo Clinic in America, they proved that sinus problems are due to fungus. We had an ear, nose and throat specialist do our program, and she said, she's a specialist nurse, she said, we do a lot of sinus operations and the surgeons pull the green slime out of the sinuses and they all acknowledge it's fungus. So how does it start? Because of an allergy to wheat and dairy, and so the mucus is building up there all the time. And then the microbes start to feed on the waste that's there, there's your fungus. So how do you get rid of it? Stop the wheat, dairy, refined sugar. Check the air that you're breathing. Check your pillows. Very important, especially in the moist environment of Singapore, Malaysia, that you have fresh air in your homes. Do you know, if I were you guys, I would never turn the fans off, because fans keep that air moving. Now when we close our health centre for a week, we shut all the windows, all the doors, everything's been cleaned, and then we put the fans on. And the fans are on all week. And if you were to go near those rooms, you'd hear this. And what that does is that keeps the air circulated. So when we come back a week later to open the rooms ready for our guests, open the windows and doors, we turn the fans down a little bit and the air has remained nice and fresh. It also prevents the development of mould, keeping that movement in the airs. And that is one of the beauties of the air conditioners, is they take the moisture out of the air. But one must be careful that air conditioners are regularly checked, because where the water's taken out, that can even grow mould, so they can be the source of putting mould into the room, coming in through the air conditioner. I know I was in a place recently, and when I walked into the building, I could smell mould. All air conditioned. So one must be, air conditioners can be very helpful in this moist environment, but they must be regularly checked that they're not sources of mould themselves. So this is assessing that area. Ears. Tinnitus, ringing in the ears. It's usually caused because of a wheat and dairy intolerance. Again, it's those tubes. When those tubes get blocked, hearing is affected. When the tubes get blocked, breathing's affected. When the tubes get blocked, eyesight's affected. So that whole area is affected. Now, there is a way that you can clear out the sinuses, because you stop the wheat and dairy, but there's still this thickness build up, and that is sniffing golden seal powder. So the easiest way to do it is get probably about 1/16 of a teaspoon and get a straw and just sniff it slowly up into that area. And the golden seal, remember what its nickname is? King of tonics to all mucous membranes. And it is also strong antimicrobial, antifungal, antibiotic herb. And that can clear out those sinuses. One lady started to do it and she said, "Barbara, I'm blowing green barley out of my nose." And when she told me that, I thought she might have drunk it and inhaled it, but then I realised, no. The golden seal's doing its job and she's blowing it out. Some people, when they blow that out, they think, "Oh no, I've got to take antibiotics." But what's their antibiotics going to do to fungus? You see, antibiotics come from a fungus. All that'll do is calm it down for a little while, but it's basically feeding it. And if you don't blow it out, how else are you going to get it out? If you're blowing out some strange colours, rejoice. It's out. It's like if you had a boil, you wouldn't want to push that back into your body, would it? No, the body has 4 organs of elimination. One is your skin. One also is the lungs, and when things are coming out of the lungs through the mouth and through the nose, and also your kidneys and also your colon. The waste has to get out. And so there's some of the avenues of leaving it out. What about hearing loss? Hearing loss can happen in a few areas, and this can also be a cause of tinnitus and ringing in the ears. We've got a guy, he's our maintenance man, and he used to work in the mines jackhammering. Well, he's going to have ringing in his ears for the rest of his life because his ears were exposed to very loud noise, and there's been a bit of damage there. But he said to me, "You know, it's better than it was since I stopped the wheat and the dairy." So he's managing that. Also rock stars, you know, having that really loud music, or even people that are listening to loud music, it's going to damage the ears. The fine mechanism in the ears, it does not like that loud noise. So people I meet in their 50s, 60s with ringing in their ears, I begin to investigate and I find out that they were handling heavy, loud machinery, or working in the mines, or working with explosives. You know, people that have been through war too, who've been exposed to loud noises. There is some damage there. So all they really can do, which is quite a lot when you think about it, they can manage it. But you know, the damage has been done. So there was one other thing I thought of. So hearing loss, that's what it was. Rebounding can help reset the balance in the ears. You see, when you're jumping on that rebounder, two things are being stimulated that control balance, and one is the bottom of your feet. So your bottom of your feet are part of what sets your balance, and also the fine machinery or little mechanisms that are in your ear. Every time you jump on the rebounder, it's readjusting, so that can help with your balance, can help with ears. Are there any questions? Yes?
Anything you talk about, is it related to vertical?
Yeah, vertigo, tinnitus, ringing in the ears is very similar. Much the same thing, just different names. Yeah, everything I just talked about will help vertigo. Okay, migraines. There can be a few causes for migraines. Chocolate and red wine and caffeine certainly can cause migraines. If someone has migraines, the questions I ask are, have you ever had damage to your skull or to your spine? Because that can cause migraines. Also, a hormonal imbalance can cause migraines. So I like to use the process of elimination and eliminate anything that may be contributing. Dehydration can cause migraines. So if you go through with someone with migraines, you check whether they're fully hydrated, you check whether they have a hormonal imbalance, you check if their spine, if they've had damage to spine or head. So some of those things can cause it. They're probably the main causes. Yes?
Is castor oil good for your hair?
Castor oil good for your hair. I think it would be very difficult to get the castor oil out of your hair. It's so thick. Yeah, I think it would be hard because it's so thick.
Should you mix with olive oil or other kind of?
Okay, I guess you could mix it with coconut oil because I know coconut's good. Coconut's strong antifungal, and that's why it's so good on the scalp if there's dandruff.
Is palm oil the same as coconut oil?
Palm oil and coconut oil, very similar. Coconut oil,
You use palm oil instead of coconut oil?
you could, but palm oil doesn't have the antifungal properties that the coconut specifically has.
How about those who have depression? How do they get
Depression, we need another meeting for that one. That's a huge subject. Dr. Neil Nedley, in his book Depression: A Way Out, he says there are 100 causes of depression. There can be many. So I think we'll be covering that in another meeting on the mind. Healing the mind. I think that's on Sabbath, is it? Yeah, where we look at depression. Depression is not a cause. Depression is an effect, and there can be a whole lot of reasons why that is so. We touched on it a little bit tonight. If someone's feeling sad after a tragedy and told that they're depressed, sometimes they can believe that they're depressed and now they have depression. Where if someone's sad after the death or a tragedy and that person's told, no wonder you're sad, you've just had a great loss, but you will recover. Every day it'll get easier, then in a month they don't have depression. Can you see that? I've seen that happen so many times. A tragedy happens, the person's told they've got depression, they believe it, and 10 years later they've still got depression. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. But there are many causes, and there can be some physiological causes too. But Dr. Neil Nedley, he states that genetics cannot cause depression. Isn't that good news? And how many people have depression because they think they're going to get it because their parents had it? Can you see that? Dr. Neil Nedley says genetics cannot cause depression and lifestyle tragedy cannot cause depression. Because every heart has its sorrow, everyone has suffered in some form. It's not what happened to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. But he says you throw into that things like dehydration, addictions, damage, hormonal imbalances, 100 of them, and they can tip the scales. Well, I think we can nearly have an early night. One more question?
Did you just say that palm oil is not bad?
Yeah. The issue with palm oil is an ethical issue because they are cutting down rainforests to grow palm oil so that the ladies in the Western world can have their chocolate. Because you can't put coconut oil in chocolate because the chocolate just tastes like coconut, whereas the palm oil doesn't have that strong flavour. And so it is an ethical issue that we're losing our rainforest to grow all this palm oil for confectionaries. But you look at it nutritionally, it is similar to coconut oil. It's not a bad oil. So, huh? It's a saturated fat. And saturated fats, as you'll learn through this week, are fantastic. And they do not harden the arteries. They do not clog the arteries because the South Pacific Islanders ate coconut every meal for thousands of years and never had heart attacks. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, palm oil similar to coconut oil.
So we buy cheap oil.
So you buy cheap oil and the heart attacks continue, is that right? Yep. Doesn't stop them. So you consider this. We're told, don't eat saturated fat, have a fat-free diet, go on cholesterol-lowering medication, and the heart attacks keep coming. It's not stopping them. And the strokes keep coming. #1 killer in the Western world. So basically, all the things they've put in place to stop them, they're not stopping them. Because that's not what causes heart attacks. Yeah?
There's one more oil called rice bran oil.
Aha, rice bran oil. I can get my mind around coconut oil. I've seen people make it. I can get my mind around olive oil. I've seen people make it. I can't get my mind around rice bran oil. If you cook rice, there's no oil on the top, is there? So you know what I think? How much rice bran is there in the world today? Lots, because everyone eats white rice. So, some cluey marketer thought, let's just press this rice bran oil and tell the people it's a good oil. I don't touch it. I don't touch it because it doesn't make any sense to me. You see that? And I like to keep away from the less refined foods as possible. No woman could make rice bran oil in her kitchen, could she? No. Yes? Grapeseed oil. No woman could make that in her kitchen either. So I don't touch it. They would need high heat chemical equipment to get oil out of hard seed. So the only oils that I eat are coconut and olive. And they're the two oils that have been used for centuries.
The most popular oil I think in Singapore is canola oil.
Canola oil is one of the most dangerous because it's been genetically modified to reduce the uracic acid levels in it, because uracic acid is toxic to humans. So it's been genetically modified. So don't touch canola oil.
If it's not GMO, then it's safe.
I wouldn't touch it.
You really don't know.
No. And avocado oil, I don't eat avocado oil, I just eat avocados. Well, we thank God again for this amazing body that He's given us. And no wonder He says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present living sacrifices. And doesn't the Bible say you're not your own, you're bought with a price? That's in 1 Corinthians 6 verse 19. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. So let us bow to close. Father in heaven, thank you so much that your mercies are great enough to give us the ability to present our bodies in a fit state. And we also know that we are the winners because we're the ones living in it. May we treasure this trust that you've given us in these bodies, that our minds may be clear to communicate with you, is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.